Hey everybody. So I wanted to go ahead and do a quick message. I've got the background thing on just because honestly the house is in a lot of different pieces. I'll get to that in a second. So I haven't done a video in a while. There was just a lot of things going on. I've dealt with a lot more energy issues as of late. Um, there's been quite a big deal dealing with my chest catheter and some other things, which I'll get to in a second as well. And that's kind of why I've been away. Um, in the meantime, some good things have happened. I want to talk about those. The first thing I want to do is I want to thank everybody who's been paying attention and watching videos as well as keeping up with this new GoFundMe I'm waiting for and alerts I got. This process is difficult. A difficult portion, of course, most of the time it's just the daily, grind of it. It's not just about you know not having energy during the day. It's the sleep schedule things. It's not any of those things on their own. It's the combination of them all. Um, and it was just wearing on me. I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to do much. Um, I didn't want to be places, and it was causing a lot of other concerns. Uh, which honestly, the biggest part of was just uncertainty, not knowing if things were ever going to get wrapped up, as they need to get wrapped up or fixed or finished. Just not having it there in my tank to just keep going through certain things. Um, so the first major thing, of course, is the chest cavity. First off, the good news. By the time you're seeing this, it's either about to come out, is out, or it's about a day or so away. Uh, my chest catheter is finally able to come out Wednesday, January 4th, and I will be able to actually get, you know, regular shirts on with no problem. You can still see the outline for it right here. But the big thing, honestly, for me, can't wait to shower. This whole using a scrub brush and all the other things I've had to do. I can't be in water. I've got to make sure plenty of layers on. Got to be careful shaving or cutting my hair. All these different things that had to be done just so that we didn't cause any damage to the catheter, but also so I didn't get any kind of infections from it. Over the weekends, usually I spend about 10 minutes uh, now because it definitely took longer before going through and replacing the bandage myself, cleaning the area, as well as the actual like exposed portions of the catheter, and putting a new island bandage on. That will finally be done after this thing comes out in a few days. Uh, so now I am only using the fistula, and as you can see, there's nothing externally on it when I'm not using it. You can kind of see that dark portion there. That is the actual scar. It looks much worse in this video, light, but I promise you, it's not nearly as bad in person. And when I'm not using it, when it's not actually having the needles in it, it's actually not really painful or anything like that. It's just I know it's there, and honestly, kind of a cool scar. Uh, there's another scar that it's compared to. So I tend to look at the both of them from time to time. With the fistula having really matured, they're now able to use the larger size needles, which means that we're up for the next big milestone, which is decreasing the time I'm in the chair dialysis. Right now, I do about 4.5 hours. Um, that should be able to go down to 4:15 first, and then a flat 4 hours. I'm really just hoping to get down to 4 hours. If I can get down to 3.5, that would be great. But just getting to 4 hours would be a big deal. Um, right now, I leave about 8:45 to 9 o'clock in the morning on dialysis days to get there. I'm usually hooked up somewhere between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. And yeah, as you can think about that, that usually gets me out of there around 2:45 to 3, depending on how bad the bleeding is, and then home somewhere between 3 and 3:30, though it can be later depending on how things work. The other great thing about the catheter coming out is I'll finally be able to look into driving again, which does mean a lot of stuff happening there. Um, but staying on the dialysis side of things, it's been great. We've been getting more and more of the staff used to doing the sticks on my arm so that I can uh, be, more flexible with where I'm sitting, but also who is actually handling the cannulation process. That's the needle going in process. So that's been really great as well. Um, that increase in, you know, mobility means I'll actually be able to do things more on my own and kind of improve how things are going. I did mention driving. That does come with its own new complications. Now, the first thing is uh, getting the Lincoln working properly. That will need to be assessed by somewhere I can get it inspected because it hasn't had tags all year. So we need to get tags again. The other problem, I'm sure you noticed I didn't mention the Ranger first, is I have to deal with this gentleman who still has not handed over um, the sorry, just my mind blanked there for a second. It hasn't handed over the title on the Range Rover. At this point, I'm probably going to pursue legal action. I'm going to try to use legal aid, but any of you guys, my friends that are able to actually handle law in Missouri, would love to have you go ahead and get that taken care of as well. I'll be in touch. Um, Basically, it just needs the title, and I can either sell it or see what repairs still need to be done. Um, Beyond those two vehicles, I would love to sell both of them and try and buy something from there. But um, beyond those vehicles, I'm simply in the process of figuring out where to move to. Uh, we have begun packing up the house. That's why, again, I have this background up. I kind of have the house in pieces right now, going through packing up photo albums and mantle photos first and getting things over to my mother to have her take a look and see which things that she does and doesn't want to keep with her. And the next thing will be getting additional things uh, out of the house or deciding on where they're going to be stored slash sold. Uh, the big one right now is the fur coats. I have gotten an assessment on the two of them. And so now it's just a question of finding a buyer, trying to figure out where to advertise those things. Um, the other things that'll be difficult to kind of go through will be a lot of the things she just has kind of randomly around the house, some of the older furniture, things of that nature. And so, just trying to determine what is and isn't going to stick around. Um, there are a lot of things, some of which are things I may want to keep, may not, and others that just need to go for one reason or another. The difficult portion will be in the garage of the house. So that's kind of my next few months of getting things done. But luckily, there are some potential help on the horizon for getting those things accomplished. The main thing will be finding a place for me to physically move to, and that'll make this process a lot easier because I won't be here complicating matters by living on top of what's going on. Um, Honestly, I wish I had more energy on the day so I could do more of it daily. But for the most part, I at least have really good plans and kind of know where to plot things along. The offers for the house are still pretty good, so I don't think we'll have trouble selling the house when it's ready to be sold. But it does take work, and we're just trying to make that process happen. Um, the next thing, of course, is bariatric surgery. I told you guys about that being a possibility in the last couple updates, really. And there were some. unfortunate setbacks on that. But now with Medicare seeming to be in place alongside Medicaid, as well as uh, some of the other uh, things that need to get done, it does look like I'll be able to take meetings with the correct bariatric surgery facilities and get that process started. It does, of course, delay things, but we knew this was not going to be a quick weight loss process either to get down to the right weight for my transplant. there, there really is no way around it. I need to get from where I'm at currently, which is about 375, um, which I've kind of plateaued at, to 270. At 270, the transplant team has already said they're ready to do the transplant at that point, and there wouldn't be any problem getting me through the process then. So I've been doing my part with the diet, to keep the weight from going up and trying to at least hover here. The next part will be figuring out how to get that additional help to get the weight, rest of the way down. Now that I can actually get this catheter out, that will actually allow for things like working out again, which is one of the things that I was told to avoid for a couple of reasons. The main one is the obvious one: potential damage to it by things like slinging weights around or getting it wet during your pool aerobics or the workout things. The less obvious one is that increase in heart rate alongside the process of using the catheter for dialysis can cause additional damage to the heart. The catheter already technically does that because it's pulling blood uh, from so close to the heart already. And so I couldn't really work out. With it out, other than any damage potentially to the fistula, and obviously with my arm around the fistula, uh, this should be a really easy way to uh, increase my weight loss without causing uh, any issues. Because again, after about, I'd say about 10 hours usually, I'm usually able to take off the bandages that cover the incision points for the cannulation on the fistula. So basically, like the next day, I can work out, in water, or that day I can work out with the bandages on. So it works out okay. So that's kind of the next step and phase and things there. Um, there are a few other things. I've been approved to begin looking into this ticket to work process. That is a way that allows me to work while on dialysis and receiving disability benefits, Medicare and Medicaid. And so that could at least potentially help out with a lot of the smaller things that honestly just the disability payments monthly just can't handle. And so we'll see how that uh, possibility helps things out. It's pretty straightforward. There's a set of paperwork that you file, process to go through like everything else. Once they approve it, then you're able to work up to a certain amount of hours and a certain amount of funds in monthly income each month. And from there, still keep the benefits that you're getting. It gives you a time period that you have to be gainfully employed with the necessary benefits before they'll take them away. And so it's something that I'm looking into and begin the process on. That kind of leads to the other thing. The question has been asked privately. I want to go ahead and answer it publicly so that there's no real questions about it. I am in the midst of figuring out what is going to happen after all this. What happens after I move, depending on where I move to, and what I do after this transplant is over. I don't know. I know some long term things that I want to do, but where I'll be, what I'll be doing, it honestly, I don't know. Uh, I think the hardest thing about this process has been losing the ability to just do my thing, to just be me the way I was. Uh, I don't think people give enough credit to how our daily routines kind of shape how we feel about our lives. For me, one of the hardest parts about all this process has really been, I don't put a suit on anymore. I don't go into an office and have a soda in my case, or tea sometimes, uh, while I pour over documents or research the law to figure out how to answer, you know, a question, a case, how to answer opposition, trying to, bulldog me in negotiations, which is always funny to watch. I, I don't know, but I also don't know if I want to go back to that, and it's a tough decision. Um, a lot of opportunity has been presented to me in this time that I've been dealing with this, just since May, and knowing even those things, what I was doing at the end, how I was feeling while doing those things, I just don't. I think this time is really a chance to get a lot of clarity about what I want, uh, and that kind of brings me to the positive. So some folks have already seen, but I wanted to kind of tell everybody. I yes have been trying to find ways to keep myself busy. One of which is finishing the book that will be out August 4th. I don't care what happens. You're gonna have this book August 4th. The Man Called Dragon is coming, but it's the first in the series of four. But alongside the book, I've been just leaning into my creativity and trying to do things that I just didn't have time to do before. And it's left me writing a lot, even if it wasn't necessarily, stuff I wanted to share. It's get me thinking through characters and ideas and things like that. It's allowed me to have a little fun with things as well. Uh, I have enjoyed my time now on TikTok. Um, you might remember I was pretty anti TikTok before all this happened, but I did find a way to enjoy it without some of the concerns and problems I had with it. Um, People seem to have an interesting relationship to my voice. I've done a few of these voice acting challenge things, really enjoyed them, so I'm going to keep kind of doing them. Uh, People have responded well to some of the poems I put over there. We started doing toxic poems on Tuesdays, so we call it Toxic Poetry Tuesdays. Um, Matter of fact, I'll be doing another one this tomorrow, the day after I record this video. Uh, but it's been a good way to keep me intellectually busy, whether it is responding to the kinds of material I see there and using it for my podcast, which we've been on break for the holiday for the last couple of weeks, but we'll be back here soon. Or it's just doing my own content, just fun, more relaxing things where I don't really get into politics or any of my social commentary. Uh, it's been a really good experience. I find a lot of positive pleasure out of it. Um, the other main thing I've been doing is going to therapy, and I'm very glad that Medicare has kind of gotten things back in line so that I can do that the same way my previous insurance was letting me do that. Even though it's a new therapist, it feels good to be able to get in and talk to somebody and kind of work through things in the meantime. Uh, I often, recommend no matter what your situation is to go to therapy. It can be extremely helpful in focusing and clarifying and giving new perspective. Uh, I wanted to make sure that during this time, where I honestly felt like the therapist I had when I started was just not equipped to kind of handle what I was dealing with, uh, that I got into somewhere that I thought, would work in that fashion. And uh, the woman I see as a therapist is very good at that. Uh, Very active listening, very listening to understand before responding, and so it's a good process. Um, there's really only a couple of certain things. I was told I can't travel immediately after the transplant, so it does look like I will not be able to do um, a couple of the trips I wanted to celebrate with. But at the present, the folks that will be invited for my big 42nd birthday celebration in 2024, uh, will still be able to do that trip with me. And yeah, I'll tell those people who are getting to go and have the option to go what that trip is. Otherwise, I'm not telling anybody. Uh, there is going to be a couple celebration trips, and now that I can travel again, once this catheter is out, I will be doing a couple things as soon as I can there as well. I need to basically just get out of the house. One of the downsides to all this is between the effect on me energy wise and honestly all of the other things that could complicate matters, I spend 98% of the time in the house. I'm basically out if I'm going to dialysis. I've had a couple of times where I've been able to go out with family or friends to get certain things done, but I really can't leave. And so before I go completely over a barrel, I'm going to get a couple of things in that are safe trips that we think are going to be possible to be done without causing any additional harm. And the people that are going on those along with me to make sure I can safely accomplish that know about them, and I'll maybe even post pictures of them. We'll see. I don't know. I might not post a picture at all. I might just tell you when I'm back. Uh, you know me. I'm still myself. Uh, and so that's kind of where things lay there. I wanted to say thank you to everybody who is keeping up with these, even if you're not a part of the GoFundMe. I did again change things over because honestly, I didn't want to have that lingering one and some of the issues related to it continuing on. Uh, and so now that this one is up and I think it's is able to be taken care of well by the people involved, I wanted to kind of get that going. So this is the first major update. And yeah, I want to thank you guys for all your positive thoughts, prayers, your help, and in whatever fashion you have. Again, you can always uh, donate or share. Honestly, either is much appreciated on my behalf. Uh, there's a lot left to go, but we've already accomplished a lot. I don't know how long this process is going to end up taking, but I do know that I'm in a much better place about all of it. And I want to thank you again for helping me get there. So I'll see you next time. Goodbye.